Good morning, Erin here from Syte Consulting Group. Wanted to chat with you for a few minutes about how to keep your newly remote work teams connected and productive. It's a whole new world out there the last couple of weeks, and many of our product-based clients have sent their employees to work from home where it's possible. And this is generally folks in the corporate office who are used to working side by side with one another and are being asked to work from home where they don't normally do that. I think as business leaders, when we are faced with, uncertainty and chaos, we tend to double down and go into do, produce mode, set lots of expectations, and just keep driving that bus, right? Well, we're going to suggest that as we send employees home who are feeling some anxiety about what this new world might look like for many, many reasons, that we think about this a little bit differently. And so I'm going to suggest to my business leaders and colleagues who are kind of feeling like or are worried about whether or not employees are going to be productive and whether business can continue as usual. I'm going to suggest maybe a way to think about this in a little different way that will get you where you're trying to go, but maybe approaches it a little differently. That's going to start by talking about the mindset that we as leaders show up with. That mindset really is about how do we show up in a way that is modeling and behaving in a way with our employees that is creating connections and building relationships. So we're sending them home, and they may never have worked from home before, and all of a sudden these places where they've compartmentalized their personal lives from their work lives are all of a sudden colliding, and they're all in one place. And they may not have a home office to work from with a door. It may involve dogs running around and kids running around and laundry in the next room and a spouse at home. Could be a whole lot of different things that are showing up. And so what I'm going to encourage is that as leaders, we lead with from a place of connection, relationship building, and communication. And so I want to talk a little bit about some best practices that we've seen work really effectively as we navigate these waters with our employees being at home now where they haven't been before. The first thing I think about is just communication. It sounds so simple, but it's really just this idea that if we can share information early and often, it will avoid some of the vacuum that is created when there's a lack of information. So anxiety spikes when we don't know what's going on, and we make things up when our bosses or the leaders in the organizations don't share with us what's going on. And so as a leader, I encourage you to just share information early and often about what's going on in the current environment for you as an organization, what you expect, hope for, how you're going to support your remote workforce. Share information that you know and share what you don't know. Just be open, honest, and transparent, and you'll avoid a lot of the anxiety that comes from just a lack of information. Next, the thing we think about is checking in. Again, this seems like a basic 101 kind of thing, but remember, as business leaders, oftentimes we're in a situation where our employees come to us as opposed to us going to them. And being remote is going to really require that we are super intentional, proactive, and more frequent in the number of times that we check in with them. So I use an example of, think about in your culture what the morning greeting looks like, the afternoon goodbye looks like when people are coming and going into the office, or during the day what those check-ins or drive-by communications might look like in a really more informal way. How might you emulate those or replicate those in a remote scenario? Just think about that a little bit and see if there's ways where you might incorporate those remotely, but also remember that you're going to need to be intentional about it and probably more frequent with the number of touches that you proactively make with your people. And then lastly, I think about asking questions. So when you're checking in with your people, ask them questions and then listen to the answer. They're going to be dealing with a fair amount of anxiety and new stuff going on for them as well. They want to meet expectations. They want to be productive. They're getting acclimated to the new scenario. It's going to take some time, and I encourage you to expect things to be messy along the way. But do ask them as many good questions as you can. How are things going? How can I support you more? What do you need more of from me? What do you need less of from me? Things like that, basic, simple questions. But ask them and then listen to the answers. so that you can just be working toward this more connection and relationship. All three of these methods that I'm suggesting, again, sharing information, checking in frequently, as well as asking good questions, are all tools that you can use as a business leader to build connection and relationship, which will get us all to that place that we want to be, which is with businesses that are continue to be vital and functioning well and productive, and humming as well as they were humming before things changed here a few weeks ago. Lastly, I want to cover some things about tools. So it's all great and well to send them home and give them all the support and communication, all important things, and we need to make sure they have the tools to do their job most effectively. These are going to include things that I want to share with you some things that we've used with our clients, also internally. You know, we've been a remote workforce here at Syte Consulting Group for, over 15 years. And so we feel like we've accumulated some best practices internally. Things like a video conferencing tool. There's a number of tools out there that are available, but I can't stress enough how important it is to get people face to face. People are going to have a variety of feelings about this. They don't, they may be coming in with a baseball cap on or no makeup on or their hair's a mess. There's all sorts of reasons people use as excuses for not getting face-to-face. And I encourage you to just throw all those out the window and lead by example. Show up in a baseball cap. Be all sweaty after your morning workout, but show up face-to-face, because we know that 90 to 95% of all communication is nonverbal. And if we're moving to phones or to texting or some of these other tools that are available to us and great tools, we're going to miss out on really building and maintaining good connection and relationship with our staff and employees, and we just don't want to lose that. So get a great video conferencing solution and make sure your folks are enabled to use it. This would be webcams. Make sure they have webcams. I keep joking with my team saying that webcams are going to be the new toilet paper here in this pandemic that we are facing, and I have to say I've had kind of a chuckle about that, and yet I think they may be hard to come by, so do the best you can. The next thing is a contextual communication tool. This is a tool that bridges the gap between texting and emailing. Texting can be a little lightweight, is difficult to manage groups and such, and email can be kind of a slog where our inbox gets just polluted and with so much noise. Contextual communication tools really allow us to communicate within teams, within projects, more functionally focused or group oriented in a way that kind of helps people keep organized. It also has a social element to it that we really love, that we don't find to be distracting either. It's kind of a way to stay connected in a more informal way, but also with an intentional and productive element to it. So we love it for this reason. Lastly, are the network resources. Many of our manufacturing clients are still on premise for a number of really smart reasons. And this means that when people go off premise, you need to think about a remote desktop protocol, as well as a VPN solution to keep your data secure. And so just want to remind people about that as well. And if you're in the cloud already, just make sure that your security is up to snuff and people, the login and the access based on the user permissions is set up correctly. And people are aware of how you need them to use these tools in the way that meets your IT protocols internally. So all that said, I think kind of in summary, just want to say, hey, you've got this, we've got this together. I think just having the mindset of as a leader that you not only take on yourself, but that you model for your employees, that is one of care, concern, connection, and relationship, is going to get you to that productivity, efficiency, and effectiveness that you're looking for in the end. As a result, your employees are going to feel super supported, less anxious, and we're all going to get where we're trying to go a lot better and easier. Making sure you have the right tools to really enable and empower them is going to be gold and super necessary. So we really encourage you to think about some of the tools I mentioned today. And then finally, if you're in a situation where, hey, this is just new to you and you want some support from a team that's done this before, we would love to lean in and help you where we can. In the email that I'm sending you today, there'll be a link to schedule 30 minutes with me or someone on my team to just talk through what are the next steps. And if you need some outside help empowering and enabling your team, there's places we can lean in to help you get there very quickly and hopefully as painlessly as possible. or just reply to the email, and we can certainly I can certainly field any questions or comments that you have it that way as well. So with that, I wish you well. I know these are trying times, and again, you've got this. You got it. Take care.